All right, what's up, Apex? My name is Tyler Preston. I'm known as Ty the Car Guy. I've been selling cars for a decade, a little bit over a decade now. I started when I was 19. One of the things that I've really learned over time is that not all salespeople are created equal. And it doesn't matter if you're just selling a product or if you're helping people buy a service or if you're just a one-man show and you're kind of doing it all. You're doing the lead acquisition all the way to fulfillment. A sales process is one of the most important things that is needed for having a smooth transaction with a client. So whenever I'm talking to new salespeople, and this is not just for selling cars, like I said, I've helped people in other industries, whether they're doing door-to-door, like for PDR or for roofing. I've got a service advisors at a mechanic shop that I've helped at a high level. So just really mastering sales, life insurance sales over the phone or setting appointments and going in person. I've done all that as well. So just with my experience, I've really learned that sometimes it's not just, hey, I can't overcome these objections. A lot of times I'm finding that a proper sales process would do a few things. It would eliminate a lot of objections that you get at the end anyways. So that's where you might see a salesperson that you're like, they just have a bunch of laydowns. Well, either they're lucky, which I don't believe in luck too much, or their process is just deadly and they make it super easy for the client to say yes. So that's really the goal. Make it easy to say yes to, hard to say no to, and just make it their idea every time. And that's part of the psychology of how I sell as well. I've done a lot of training and I've done a lot of, had a lot of at-bats. So I've talked to a lot of clients myself, and that's where a lot of this learning and training comes from. So first thing that I wanted to talk about as far as your sales process goes, and I'm gonna start A to Z all the way to close or all the way to an appointment. I'll even talk about ways that I handle some objections. And you can always send me a text if you have any questions or give me a call. I'll put my phone number here at the end. But without a sales process that you follow every time with every client, you're just guessing and changing every single time you're with a prospect or handling a DM or it could be anything. So if there's not a standard that you're following, you're just guessing every single time and you don't know what's working and what doesn't. It's really chaos. You can't scale chaos, but if it's simple, you can scale that. So that's why I really want to have somebody dive down. What do I do from A to B, all the way to close, all the way to C, and can everybody do it? Is it duplicatable as well? Because I don't know, if you're just an individual salesperson, this is going to help you. If you own a business and you're wanting to grow to if you have 5 employees right now and 2 of them handle clients and you want to grow to 20 people handling clients, it needs to be easy for everybody to just plug in. The clients have the same experience with you and your business as you do, or as they do with you, as they do with the newest employee. Like that's how simple your sales process should be. But it should also have to where it's able to take the client from where they are now to where they want to go, and that's doing business with you. So that's really what I'm gonna go over today. And one of the things is that you really need to learn and understand that, some of your salespeople are just going to say, well, it's because of money. Or you might even say, people don't buy because of price. And it's almost never, ever price. It's a few words where you lose sales, not money. Okay. So you want to have the same process, every customer, every single time. That's how your sales process should go. I've got some notes here to the side. I'm going to read through those just to make sure I'm staying on point. But again, if you have any questions, you're going to have my phone number. It's 469-765-4883. You can always call me or text me, whatever you need there. I am happy to help. So anyways, let's get going. You have to know where your customer is and the information that they know now to know where they want to go. So by that, I mean, like as a sales process, you can't just call me. Let's say you're a lead and you inquired on, I'll just say a car, just because that's kind of my thing, but we can transfer to any industry, I'm telling you. So let's say you inquired on a car. If I call you and think, hey, I got your information on this brand new Tahoe, what time can you come in? If that's the way I'm handling this lead, then I have no idea, is that specifically what they're looking for? Are they looking at other options? Are they even ready to purchase a vehicle? Or was it an accident? Some people just put in information, like they go to a trade show and they're like, hey, enter to win a free car. This has happened to me several times. Enter to win a free car, and then now that becomes a third-party lead. We're buying them from people, and we're just trying to get in front of people that have seen our product recently and just see if we catch them at the right time, or if we can get a hold of where they're at now, take them where they want to go, and kind of go through the process with them that way. So don't assume that everybody, just because they send in a lead, that they are ready to purchase your product, because that'll be a massive mistake that you're making, and it'll cost you money and business and time, and just now you start to feel some type of way toward your clients, and it'll just be a bad deal for you. So some laws that I stick to whenever it comes to working with clients and sales. The number one that I've learned in the car business, and this is in the industry, like I said, 86% of people are flexible. So that's the first thing I want you to write down. 86% of people are flexible. That means that they will pay more than they said they would pay. They will take a different product when they said they absolutely had to have this one. They'll get somebody to help, like if they need a co-signer, if you've got something to do with lending or funding, they'll get a co-signer to help make that loan or get the application to where they qualify for the product even when they said they wouldn't. They'll take a used solution versus a new one. So sometimes people will say, I have to have a brand new car, and they'll leave in a used one. And it's not because we want to manipulate customers and make them follow our process. It's because we help them find reason and excuses that this one works better for them, and we actually help them convert and get something that actually works for them. So 86% of people are flexible. They'll buy something they said they would, and they'll take a different color. They'll do a different date. If they're like, I have to have it tomorrow, 86% of them will take it next week as well. So just don't get hung up in what they say. Just move on. And some things you have to have just like the right focus on their objections, and don't take an objection as a rejection. Okay, that's another point that I want to make to you. Whenever a client says no, that's what you want. You learn nothing from a client saying yes to you all the time. Because tell me if you've ever been through this before. Have you ever been through a process where the customer just say yes, yes, and they're just agreeing with you the whole way through your script or whatever your little process is, get to the end and they still don't buy? Well, that's because they just kind of went on autopilot and we're just like, okay, we're just going to move through this whole thing and get you out of their face and move on with their life. But whenever they say no, then you're able to, okay, now we've got something that we have a direction to go. Now from no, I can take them from a no to a maybe, and then from a maybe to a yes. So that's one of the things with your clients is that you want to treat no's treat a no. If you don't hear a yes, it's a no, okay, is what I'm trying to say. So if a client says yes, then we're moving forward. If they say maybe, you got to treat it like a no. If they said no, how would you handle that? So that's got to be part of your sales process. But again, I just want to go through some of these laws. 86% of people are flexible, and whenever you don't hear a yes, you got to treat it like a no, and from a no, we want to turn it to a maybe and to a yes. There is a few different ways of like persuasion that I've learned, and I'm going to really talk in depth on these. But whenever you're just talking with a client and you're just giving them information, you're just saying, they're like, oh, well, I'm thinking about this Tahoe, and you just start talking about, oh, this Tahoe's got 7 seats, it's got the buckets, it's got the leather seats, heated and ventilated, and you're just telling them a whole bunch of information. Hey, this is going to be perfect for you. That's you pushing your agenda onto them. Even if that's not your intention, the way the clients perceive you is all that matters, right? So whenever you're telling them things, that's just telling. That's not selling, okay? But what I do is I get them to tell me, and that's where the real persuasion, that's where the real selling comes into play. So let me explain that a little bit more. Again, whenever I'm telling, that's just telling. I'm just hitting them with words, boom, 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 and I'm hoping that they move forward. But whenever a client, whenever you're making statements to somebody, that's just your side. But if you can ask questions rather than make statements, then now you're getting them involved in the process. Okay, so what does that mean? Instead of me saying, oh, this Tahoe has the bucket seats in the middle, it's going to be perfect for you. Then I turn that from a statement into a question. Okay, so like with that Tahoe having the bucket seats there in the middle, do you feel like that would be better than a bench seat? And then they will say yes or no. And you can say, well, why do you think it is though? You get them to go a little bit deeper. So that's one thing that I'm going to train on here in just a few minutes. We want to turn our statements into questions. We don't want to just be sitting there hitting them with a bunch of information. We want to get them involved because there's 2 of you on the call or in person. Even if there's multiple people, just y'all are the ones engaged. It's you and them. And which person do you think your client or your prospect believes more? You or themselves, right? Because they know everything about themselves. They don't know anything about you. You don't know much about them yet. But that's why you got to go through the right sales process. So they're not going to just take everything you say as gold. Even if you're the most genuine person, you would never lie to anybody. You'd rather them not buy from you than you just make a sale on something they don't need. They don't even know that or believe that yet. They've got to go through that process themselves. That's why I don't just start telling people things. I ask them questions and I bring them along with me while I'm going through the process. So that's one thing we're going to talk about in depth. And one thing that you really need to know too, and then I'm going to train more on the sales process. I'm going to kind of go back through that all the way from top to bottom. But whenever you are working with a client, there's only one person that's got to believe in the deal. It doesn't have to be your owner or your manager or your customer or your client. It's you. As long as you still believe, hey, there's something here, I just haven't found the right information yet, so I got to keep digging, then you're going to move the sale forward. But as soon as you decide, oh, these people probably won't buy. Oh, this is not a deal. We're not going to be able to reach an agreement. They're not going to pay all that money to get the concrete brought in and get their driveway poured. They're not going to. As soon as you have that mentality, you're cooked. Okay, so that, I mean, as if you're in Apex or just in any sales in general and you've done any level of digging and leveling up, you understand how important your mindset is to everything. So that's part of the sales process. It doesn't start with the meet and greet and then kind of going through there. Your first part of your sales process needs to be mental. It needs to be, they can buy, they will buy, as long as I do my job right. That's every single time. And then again, part of that mental before the sales process starts is 86% of people are flexible. Like even if they start telling me no right away, I can't, like, tell me this. Have you ever had a client come into your business or try to buy a product from you and they said no, and then you were able to end up selling them at the end of the day anyways? That's just part of the deal. So look back on those experiences. Don't pick up like all the bad that you've had. Oh, they say no, they're never going to do it, blah, blah, blah. Think of all the wins that you've had, right? All the, hey, I was able to take that no to a maybe to a yes. And that's been a great client, one of my biggest clients ever. That's the kind of mentality that you have to have as you're moving forward. But if you're sitting there telling yourself, like, as soon as you decide that there's no deal, that customer's got to be just the best lay down in the world for you to be able to move forward. So really stay in the saddle, keep your mindset right before you get started. So let me kind of jump into this a little bit. Whenever I first am meeting with a client, right? Like I said, got my mind right before I make a phone call, or even before I start my day. You know, if your shift starts at 8 or if your business opens at 8, hey, before that day, you need to have your goals written down and you need to just know in your head that you are the one that client needs to talk to. You can help everybody at the highest level, because if they don't buy from you, you've done nothing for them. If you don't close clients on your service or your product, you've been of no service to them. So if, again, a lot of us are just like, no, we care about our customers, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you don't close them on doing business with you, they have to go do business with somebody else. And there's nobody better for them to do business with other than you. So you really have to have that belief and just through your core, this is how I roll, okay? So as we're going forward, I want to, whenever I'm reaching out to clients or I'm going to do outbound first. So let's say I got a lead, they came in, they just filled out something on one of my funnels, and then it got pushed over their name, their number, and that they were looking to get a quote on paintless dent repair or get a quote on an auto repair, or they're looking for a vehicle, right? So I'm going to give them a phone call. And one of the first things that I'm going to do is you want to get past that intro, right? They're a hot lead, so you're not cold calling and they're not going to be trying to shake you off because you've got a legitimate lead. But even if they are, you stay focused. You're like, hey, I know they filled it out. I'm good. We're going to push through this. So whenever you first make your phone call, I want to find out like, hey, John, this is Tyler. I was just giving you a call. Looks like you had sent some information about possibly looking for roof repair. And I just had a second to get back to you. Is now a good time? You can say that. Some people don't want to say, I don't want to say it's now a good time because they're going to try to hop off. Well, that might be true. But again, think about your mindset right there. Your mindset is not, hey, they're going to buy, they want to do business with me. Your mindset's already in fear. So we want to move forward in faith or fear. I want to choose faith every time. So I'm okay with saying that. But if you don't want to, you don't have to say that. Hey, I just had a second to get back to you. Looks like you were looking for quotes on possibly getting your roof taken care of. Have you had a chance to get that taken care of already, or are you still looking around? You just got the lead, so you know. But again, I don't know where to take a client next if I don't know where they are right now. One of the other laws you need to write down, and there's going to be plenty of these. don't ever assume that you know exactly what the client wants or what they're thinking or anything. You always need to know. We don't deal in hyperboles. We deal in absolutes only whenever we're selling. And if I'm losing you in any way right now because you're like, I don't sell stuff, I just provide XYZ, or my company does this, you're in sales. No matter what you're doing, you're in sales. Even if you're just like a stay-at-home mom, you got to sell everybody. And I don't think I have to really drive that point home too much, but you got to sell your kids at doing what you want to do. You got to sell your spouse on getting, even after they got home from work, helping you with the dishes and helping you with all that stuff. So you're in sales no matter what. But again, we never want to assume that we understand where somebody is. And you never want to say, oh, I've already seen this before in somebody else, so they're in that same place. People are people. People are different. You need to know for sure where they're at. So that's why, did you get that taken care of, or are you still looking around? No, I haven't gotten it taken care of yet. Like that would be their next thing. Okay, great. So again, we want to find out where they are now. So did something happen recently, or what had you think about reaching out to us, right? And then they're gonna tell you, oh, I was just looking online. There's gonna be layers, right? So I was just browsing the internet and I saw your ad and I clicked on it. Okay, and now before that, had you been looking to get quotes on your roof, or what all have you done to, see about getting that repair done? I'm getting them to tell me what they've been through up to this point to get that figured out. Hey, so have you been looking at other vehicles up to this point to, replace that car that you had totaled out, or is you just now getting started? Here's the deal. They might lie to you, and that's okay. They don't know you yet. I'm okay with them lying to me because I'm just so certain about where I'm gonna go with them. It doesn't matter. Like, they're people, I've done it too. So if they're like, oh no, I'm just now getting started, but later on you find out that they've had 4 quotes already. They've already had somebody come out, they just dropped the ball. Like, you find all that stuff, I don't hold it against anybody. Okay, but again, we're just moving forward to that next step. So finding out what they've got going on, and then what made them reach out, right? So, hey, how'd you hear about us? That can be an easy question that you ask. Oh, I got recommended to you by a friend. Now that's a referral. Now, again, same process, every customer, every time. But now we can assume, and really, not really assume, but now we can know, okay, I've already got some credibility there. Let me build up from that. Let me find out where their thinking is, but let me build up from there. Okay, so again, your sales process, same customer every time, same process, every customer every time. I don't care if it's a referral, if it's a repeat. I don't care if it's your grandparents, if it's your family. I don't care if it's just a walk-in, just you cold call them. You treat them all the same. You might have different ways that you start the process, but this is why I've learned same process, every customer every time. Because I've had so many people reach out to me that are friends, family. Hey, I'm looking for a car. And I know the emotional process and the mental process that it goes through, that you have to go through to make a purchase on a car. I mean, we're spending 30 grand. We're not spending $20 or $100. You're spending 30 grand on something, and then people are going to finance it, so they're going to spend more money on interest, and now they're replacing something else. So there's just so much they have to go through. Even if you're a friend of mine, I still have to figure out where you're at now, what all you've done up to this point. If you've ever done this in the past, I have to find out if, like, this is something you enjoy doing, right? I always ask people just as kind of like an icebreaker, but hey, do you like, car shopping? People are like, oh, heck no, I hate it. Okay, now you're able to, uncover some of those things that are important to you. So as you're moving through your sales process, write these down. This is what you need to know. I need to know what's going on with them right now. Like, if they're trying to buy a car, what kind of vehicle do you have right now? If they're trying to if they're getting their roof repaired, hey, have you ever replaced your roof before? How old is the roof, right? You want to find out what's up with the one that they have now. What they have before that, right? So, hey, it's a brand new home. This is the original roof. It's only 2 years old. Okay, so now you understand more about what's going on with them. Hey, they've had this car for 2 years, but before that, they had their first cash car that their parents gave them when they were 17. Okay, cool. So now people are creature of habits. That's why I want to know what they have going on now, what they had before, what made them go from that to the one they have now. And then I'm going to ask them, so what's got them in the market for something else now? Because again, the way they made the purchase decision last time, people are creature of habits. They're going to do that again. Okay, so let's say you're in a automotive shop and you have somebody reach out to you about getting their car just won't start, or it just keeps overheating. You don't want to just say, hey, yeah, bring it in, we'll take a look at it. They can do all that on their own. One of the other laws that I like to go off of, and I think I mentioned it before, but If this is something that they could have done on their own online with enough time and research, they don't need you. You're providing no value to them. If they could have just called in and said, hey, I'm gonna have my car there in an hour, they would have done that. So for you to just say, oh yeah, do you want to bring it in? You're not ready. It's not time for you to go for the close on the appointment or anything like that. You gotta have that sales process. Find out where they're at now, how long they've been in their situation, what they had before that, if they've ever had a repair done before that, how was that experience, what did they like and not like. People will literally tell you how to sell them if you'll ask them enough questions. Okay, so then I want to find out what they want to change about their current situation and what they want different in the next time around. So what do they want different? Do you want something bigger or smaller on the next car? Oh, we definitely want bigger. Definitely. What made you say that? See, like, you got to pay attention to what they say and you dig a little deeper. So yeah, we definitely want bigger. Oh, bigger, what makes you say that? Oh, because we got a baby on the way. See, now you're starting to understand why they're in the market for something else. And if you just asked them like, hey, what got you in the market today? I'm just looking around. Like, that's so vague. You ask them a vague question, you're gonna get a vague answer. Can you dig down deeper from there? Yes, you can. But a lot of people are just so, oh, okay, yeah, I gotcha. And then they just move to the next step. You're so in a hurry to move to the next step to try to bring them in or try to get them to the close that you miss all the meat of the deal. Again, they're gonna tell you how to sell them. You just have to ask the right questions. So what do they have now? How long have they had it? What did they have before that? What made them go from that to the car they have now or to the product they have now? And on their next one, what do they want to change? That's going to be the majority of your sales process right there. So let me mark off some of these things that we've already done. Sales are not lost by a few dollars. It's a few words. Killer salesperson will get less objections. 86% of people are flexible. Telling is not you telling is just telling. Them telling you, that's selling. They believe themselves. They don't believe you yet. Only takes one person to believe in the deal. And the other thing that I need to talk about is you never want to change your state. Okay, so just because they start getting heated or they start tripping out and they go way up here, you don't need to go way up here and match them and start yelling at them. Like, you stay cool, calm, and collected. If you're presenting something that you're making a ton of gross on and you've never presented a deal like this where your company's going to make that much money or you're going to make that much commission, you don't start getting weird about it. You just stay cool, calm, and collected like you've been there before. You got to act like you've been there before. And while you're asking customers or potential prospects questions, never change your state. You know, if you've been on track and you've been cool and you haven't, like, you just been asking them questions, don't start like getting out of line and start going back to an old default. Don't start like arguing with them over something that's not moving you forward. Don't let the flesh show up and ruin a sale that you could have had. Okay, so again, why I'm saying that is just stay cool, calm, and collected. Always be the professional in the scenario, even when you want to just tell somebody, hey, we're done. Okay, you can get to that point. I'm not going to fault you for that. It's not like we haven't all done that. And not every client's a good client. Okay, just because they're willing to pay doesn't mean you need to take their money. Okay, but you want to stay cool, calm, and collected. Keep moving forward. Be the same throughout the whole process as much as possible. So try to keep your emotions to yourself. And again, if the customer can do what you're doing for them online, like I get salespeople at the dealership, they'll turn their computer and show the online price and inventory and all that. Like, you're not helping anybody. They've already seen that, or they can look at that on their own. You're not helping anybody, so don't do that. Part of my sales process is that I want to find problems that the customers might not even know that they have. Again, that's me being useful and beneficial to them. Okay, I don't want to just because you came in to buy a car and you ask me for a Tahoe, I don't want to just focus on the Tahoe alone. I want to ask more questions like, why are you looking at the Tahoe? What made you interested in that? Have you ever had one before? Do you know anybody that's ever had one? Like, I'm going to find out. I'm going to get in the same headspace as my clients. I want to think like them, feel like them, and just really have that empathy to just be on the same page, laser focused, where I'm not just being a product pusher. Oh, you came in for a Tahoe. Hey, yeah, let's go check this one out. Let's go test drive. And hey, yeah, you got your credit app, and I'm just going to try to like close you like you're going to buy automatically. It's just not how it's going to work. You're going to close a lot less sales. Your closing ratio is going to be awful, and you're not taking care of clients. But if I start uncovering more problems and I find out that there's a credit issue that the client maybe didn't want to talk about, or that they didn't even know about, or they didn't think about, there's a debt to income issue where they're not going to be able to buy an $80,000 Tahoe because they're making $4,000 a month. The lender's not going to debt them out for that. So there's so many things that I need to really understand and start uncovering problems or potential issues, where I don't just take what the customer gives me and move on. I want to be a problem finder. And I do that by asking questions. Again, don't make statements, ask questions. Oh shoot, man, how long have you had that car? Oh really? And then did something happen recently? What had you thinking about getting a Tahoe? And then they start talking to you about that. And then, I want to just ask more questions, dig deeper, stay in the saddle. I don't want to just start running to the product. I want to get more information, because you shouldn't spend 20, 30, 50% trying to close somebody. Your close should be maybe 5%, 10% of the whole process at the very end. But I need to spend 80% of my time getting more data and information from them, because now I'm being a sniper rather than a machine gun sprayer. Right now I know exactly what I need to show them and why they're going to buy and all these other things. And I'll talk about that more in a little bit, but just be a problem finder. Don't sit there and just be, hey, here's my product. Do you want it or not? Again, whenever they tell you, oh, this is a huge point. You need to know this, okay? Other reason why we want to ask questions, I told you, because they believe themselves. And let me explain that to you a little bit. So whenever you're asking a customer questions or a prospect questions, they're answering you, but they're not just telling you, they're also telling themselves, right? So whenever I did life insurance, I would have a client, I would be calling a lead that was 2-3 years old, because that was the leads that I was working at that time. And I would call them and I would have to get them to go back to the moment that they filled out that lead. Moment they filled in their information, requesting information on life insurance, because I just called them out of the blue today, and they might not have those feelings, right? But they may have just lost a loved one. And whenever they were in that emotional state, people buy on emotion and close on logic. So I want to take them back to that emotional state whenever they filled out the inquiry in the first place. Like, clients think for a long time about getting what they're about to ask you to give them, or what they're considering getting from you, before they actually take those steps to go ahead and fill out their information. And then if it's been any period of time since they actually filled out the lead, a lot of things change. I mean, their life might have already changed. Like, they just might not even need that product anymore. Like, there's so many things. So that's why I want to ask questions and really understand where they are. But again, whenever they're telling me about what made them fill it out in the first place, they're telling themselves, and that takes them back to where they can start getting in that emotional state and start bringing up more things. And now the more questions I ask them throughout the process, they start telling me why they need what I'm selling. And that's where the deal just comes together. That's where I'm not having to do a whole bunch of objection handling at the end, which I'm ready for. I'll go, 20 rounds with a client if I need to, but a lot of the times they just persuade themselves because of the skilled questions that I'm asking the whole time. And that's part of my sales process, okay? So you want to build the gap from where they are now to where they want to go. And then you really want to make it to where they do not want to stay in that gap. They want to do whatever it takes to get out of that and move forward. Part of that, the way you do that, is by being skeptical while you're talking to the clients. And I'm not saying never trust them or believe them. Like, don't get everything that I've said twisted into, hey, I don't trust the customer. But I'm always skeptical about what they're saying, because if I'm not constantly asking myself, well, why are they saying that? What made them feel that way? Then I'm not going to understand them. And I'm just kind of going a little bit more going blind into the next step of the sales process. So if I stay skeptical in my head, I don't always ask every question that I'm thinking. But if in my head it doesn't make sense, then I'm like, okay, I've got more digging I need to do. So don't try to go to the close until I have this answered, because that's going to be what keeps me from moving forward. And I'll talk about that a little bit here in a second, because we'll talk about objections. But be skeptical and constantly ask yourself why. Why would they do this? Why would they not? Why haven't they done it already? What would make them not want to move forward? If you're constantly asking yourself those questions, then now you're just on a different level of intuition with the client, and you're able to you can see the close in advance before you ever get there. Now I'm able to back myself up. Okay, if I can get them to explain this to me fully and explain why they don't want to stay in this situation, why they don't want to not get their car repaired, why they don't want to not get their roof repaired by me, why they would want to, because you don't want to, like a cheap roof is going to cost you twice because you have to pay again to get it done because it's just not going to be right? We already know that. You think a professional is expensive, try hiring an amateur because you got to pay twice, okay? And hopefully you don't hire two amateurs because now you're screwing yourself. But anyways, like, I just stay skeptical with my clients so that I'm always moving forward and just getting those answers to why would they not, why would they do it? Just making sure, because again, as I'm asking them questions, I'm not just answering them for myself, they're telling me, and then they're answering that for themselves too. Because if they're constantly like, oh, I'm not going to move forward with this in their head, and I'm constantly like, hey, what would keep them from moving forward? And I'm asking the questions all the way along the way to get them to tell themselves why they should move forward. Now I get to the close, and now, hey, what should we do? What should we do from here? And they're like, oh, yeah, let's go ahead and get it rolling. Now we're closed. And all I did was just stay in the saddle, work my sales process, and I'm good. That's what I'm telling you. The sales process is so important. And this is like what sales mastery is. Like, there's so much that goes into getting the lead in the first place and then fulfilling what you said you would for the client. But that in the middle, from acquisition of lead to close on getting the product, man, that's what this sales process is all about. So always ask yourself why. And of course, again, we're always asking questions. We're not making statements. I'm not saying I don't make any statements at all, but a majority of the time, especially the important information, I'm asking questions about it. So of course, like I said, if it doesn't make perfect sense to you, it probably doesn't make perfect sense to them either. Like, if a client can't explain to me why they should buy a Tahoe and I just move forward, like, if it doesn't make perfect sense, right? If it's just somebody that's got just too much money and cool, I'm going to recognize that. I'm going to understand. I'm going to be cool. I'm going to, hey, what other cars do you have? If they have a 1995 Pinto, right? I know that and they can't explain exactly why they're going to spend 90 grand on a high country Tahoe, then I'm probably not going to have a close, right? But if I'm just trying to be lazy and I'm just moving forward thinking I got an easy one, I'm going to be screwed every single time. But if they can explain to me exactly why it works, exactly why they've narrowed it down, then I know I'm not going to get to the end and they're going to say, I need to think about it. They're going to say, okay, let's roll. Here's my card, let's roll, right? So again, just ask questions, because if you don't, it doesn't make sense to you, it probably doesn't make sense to them, you have more work to do. This is what I was trying to say, or not trying to say, this is what I was hinting to earlier about objections. Okay, the objections that keep you from moving forward, every single time, it's always the same objection. Every single time, I don't care what your deal is, okay? The objection that keeps you from moving forward is always the one that you never hear. I'm going to say that again. The objection that keeps you from moving forward is always the objection that you never hear, right? So like I said, you can have this sales process all the way, and you need to be asking yourself all these questions. Hey, what would keep it moving forward? Like, all along while you're following your sales process, making sure you're gathering all the data that's right. And so this could be a 2-3 minute conversation and I moved all the way through my sales process. This might be a 10-20 minute conversation and I've just got a lot of work to do, right? I'm okay with either one, but I'm prepared for both. But the one objection that's going to make you not move forward at the very end is going to be the one that you never hear, right? That's why you got to ask the right questions. That's why you got to stay skeptical and ask why. That's why you got to keep the client involved the whole time and don't just tell them things all the way to the end. Yeah, you're going to love it. It's going to be perfect. It's exactly what you're looking for. Man, I know. You're just like me, but you're just hitting them with that kind of thing all the way along. And then you get to the end and they're like, yeah, hey, I'll get back to you. And you're like, oh yeah, that's a solid, easy deal. And you never hear from that client again. Okay, if that sounds familiar to you, you're not alone, right? But that's why you got to stay in the saddle. Get as much data from your clients as possible, because they will tell you how to sell them every single time. You just got to ask the right questions. Ask great questions, get great answers. That's an easy law for you to roll by. So just remember that, and I take extreme ownership. I love the book by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. Awesome book. It changed a lot for me back in 2020 whenever I heard it for the first time. I listened to it on Audible. And I just take extreme ownership. So if a client doesn't move forward, doesn't say yes to doing a deal, I don't care what it is. If it's life insurance, if it's getting their pool cleaned, if it's getting their lawn mowed, if it's buying a car, if they don't say yes, it's my fault. It's not the client's fault. Hey, buyers are liars. Oh man, that dude's an idiot. I don't say all that. I don't believe in all that. I take extreme ownership. So if they didn't buy, it's because of me. I didn't ask them the right questions. I didn't show them the right value. It didn't make sense. Or the only other time I would say, it just wasn't a good fit. It wasn't the right thing for them. right? Somebody's on a fixed income, they make $1,200 a month, they're spending $800 on their rent, they're spending, $300 on food, they've got no money left over. I can't sell them a product. I'm not helping them. I'm just going to hurt them, and I'm either going to get them to buy a vehicle because they get approved for it, and then they're gonna repo it, right? So now again, like, not everybody's my client, but I'm looking for the right problem. I'm looking for the problem, making sure I'm the right solution. I'm moving forward. That's really how I roll. So again, knowing all this information, asking all the questions, I take extreme ownership. They didn't move forward because I didn't ask them the right questions. I didn't get them to tell me everything. And that kind of goes right into this. If you knew everything about your prospect's problem and their current situation, and they knew everything about your product and your industry that you're in and how you can help them, they would buy every single time. Think about that. Listen to me. If you knew everything they were thinking, right? If you were Edward from Twilight and you could read their minds and you knew exactly what they were thinking, if you knew everything about their entire life, all the bad experiences that they've had with other people that are like you or selling your product, or if they've heard bad things, like if you heard, seen, and felt everything that they have up to that point, then you would know exactly how to sell them. And think about this, if they knew everything about your product and your service and how genuine and how honestly you guys are taking care of your clients at the highest level, if they knew all of that and you were able to pair that together, they would buy every single time. You would have a 100% closing ratio. Now it's just, how do I talk to 10 times the people, 100 times the people, right? That's where the sales process comes into play. That's where asking questions comes into play, and being skeptical and making sure, challenge people, right? Like, well, why do you feel like the Tahoe is the right vehicle for you? Why do you feel like a Ford Focus is what you're looking for? Why do you feel like you should get a cash one versus financing, right? There's so many things. Why do you feel like going with the cheapest roofer is the right thing for you? Like, I just don't even, like, why would you go with us? What makes you feel like we're the right fit? Get them to tell you. That's what I'm saying. This whole time, I'm getting the clients to sell me on why they should buy what I'm selling and why I'm the right person to do business with them. If they're telling me that, remember, the whole time, they're telling themselves that too. So that's where my sales conversion is just so nasty, and I'm able to get to the end of the deal and know, hey, I've got a deal here. I've served this client. I've been able to provide all the information that they need. They're going to buy from me, and now I'm just confident going into the close. And again, if I need to handle objections, I'm ready for that too. I'll handle objections and I'll go round for round. And again, one of the biggest things that I'll say here in a second, and I'll say it right now, actually, if you feel it, think it, or see it, you gotta say it. So the whole time while you're with a customer, if you're like, dude, they're lying, or if you're like, oh, they're not gonna buy, or hey, they're not gonna come back. Right? You got to say it. That's your intuition. That's the bell. Ding, 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 ding. That's your alert. That's you're built for this, right? So that's your body and your mind and just all your sales ability and just you believing in your company going off, hey, if you don't say something to this person, they're never going to come back. So you can do two things. You can just say, okay, they might, I hope they come back. Or again, I deal in absolutes. I do not like letting off of a call without knowing 100%, right? And I can't make everybody do everything and follow instructions and all that stuff, but I always want to keep rolling. So whenever I'm feeling something, like let's say at the end, oh man, it's late. Hey, everything looks perfect. It's just getting late. We got to get the kids to bed. So we're just going to come back in the morning and finish everything up. But man, you've been awesome. We're for sure coming back tomorrow. Dude, stop. Don't buy the bread. That's one thing I learned from a general manager a long time ago. Don't buy the bread. Just the guys walking around with the tub of bread and they're like, oh yeah, you want to help? No. Don't buy the bread. I'm so focused on, if everything was perfect, they would be moving forward. Like that's where the skepticism comes in. So now I'm like, shoot, man. So now in my gut, I'm like, oh, they're not going to come back. So I was, hey, can I be direct with you for a second? They're like, oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. Hey, and this is just how I would say it, right? Hey, can I be direct with you for a second? Yeah, for sure. Okay, hey, assuming that we're not doing business today, if everything was perfect, we would be moving forward right now. But for me to hear that you're going to come back, I've been doing this a long time, and all that tells me is that I'm just never going to hear from you again. And that's fine if we're not going to do business. But what was it? Was it the product itself? Was it the price? Like, what makes you feel like it's, we're not going to be moving forward? And if they tell me, no, we're for sure doing it, it's just I would say, then I'm going to double down. I'm like, no, I hear you, but if everything was right and it was just time to sign, like we're 99% done, let's just finish up this last 1%. And if everything's perfect, and now we're gonna save you more time. If time's really the problem, then the fastest thing for you to do is just move forward and finish the deal right now, versus leaving, going home, coming back. I mean, there's so many things that come into play, and now all extra time. So like if time's really the thing, let's go ahead and get this wrapped up. I'm here, you're here, the product's here, let's get this done. And they're gonna, if it's real, then they're gonna move forward. You got a deal. Or if they're still like, man, so you just need to just know in your gut, hey, I messed up somewhere. Where did I mess up? And the other thing too is, it's not just what they said. It's when they said it and what made them say that. Because if you've been just smooth the whole time, everything's perfect, you're just going across, and then you come to this point, hey, we're gonna come back tomorrow, and then you're like, no, hey, no, let's go ahead and wrap it up. We're almost done. They're like, no, we really need to come in tomorrow. Pay attention to that. When there's a shift and change from your client, again, you want to stay the same the whole time because you want to be the variable. You want to be the controlled variable. The clients are the ones that change all the time. Same process, every customer, every time. They're the ones that are different. Your product's the same. You're the same. They're the ones that are different. So you can know what you need to go back and fix and repair. But if you're constantly changing and then they start, tripping out, now you start changing. No, you stay the same. Oh, well, hey, we're almost done with this. What makes you feel that way? And then, they start going through, and now you can go into objection handling if you need to, but pay attention to what they said, when they said it, what happened right before that, because if everything was perfect and then something was said here and you noticed a change, or you didn't notice a change, but hey, whenever that was said, that started locking them in on the deal, or that wasn't really what they wanted at first, and now this is just the reality of our product. You just got to pay attention to what they said, when they said it, how they said it, what made them say it. Okay, so just be vigilant at all times. If you're going smooth and things change, that needs your attention. And don't just ignore that either. If you see them, oh shit, they're done. I lost his attention. He's just scrolling on his phone now. You got to stop. You got to stop and handle it right now, because you're just kicking the can down the road, and you come into the close, or you do a 2-call close where you have to have them come back. You're just going to get to the end, set a fake appointment, and you're never going to hear from them again. So pay attention to that in your sales process. Okay. And it's not always about what they say, it's what they said and what was behind what they said, right? The root cause of what's got all their problems. Like I said, it's not just what they said. When did they say it? What made them say what they said? Pay attention to all that. I've already said, if you don't hear a yes, treat it like a no. Keep digging. If you see it, think it, feel it. Oh, here's the other thing too, deal fatigue. Deal fatigue is a real thing. Sometimes whenever you're just working on a client, you found what they want, you got the product, you're like, hey, this is the right thing for them. Now it's time to close the deal. And they're just fighting you on every single little thing, or they're fighting you on, hey, they want the price, and you're like, I can't go down anymore. Go back to that law I told you. 86% of people are flexible. Go back to that, because it's true, okay? So I'll give you some examples. I've had a client that he wanted to be at $30,000 plus taxes on this car. And I knew it's a $37,000 car with his trade, that he wanted to be at 30 after his trade, after discount, after rebate, whatever, plus trade. I'm like, I already know for sure, hey, it's not going down. You got a $2,500 car, it's not gonna happen. We're not gonna discount that much on this vehicle. But he was just still stuck on it, boom, boom, boom. So, and like I bumped him up to a certain point where it was agreeable, but he drew a line. No, I had to make him, give him that breather. I had to pull out of the deal, and I had to say, hey, you know what? Let me go discuss this with one of my managers, and I'll be right back. And let me, I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to see if I can make this work, because he needed a break. I had let him build up so many things. Like, he had made a few concessions from what his original thought was and what reality was. So he had to make some changes up to that point. But now he found something that he was ready to stand on business on. So I had to give him a break. Hey, walk away. Hey, can I get you water? Hey, brother, I got your back. We're going to figure this out. I appreciate you. You just kind of keep them in a good state. It should be, even buying a car or getting a house, and like, think about this, buying a home is awesome. But if you bought a home because your last home burned down, it's not. You see, and it still might have a level of great, but man, there's just trauma tied to it. So just keep people in good spirits and pull out, let them breathe. I've heard Daniel G talk about it, where he says he's opening the door, puts his foot out, and then says a couple things, and then brings it right back in, goes back into the close. So that's where, hey, give me a few minutes. Let me figure this out. Even if you're the guy, even if you're like, hey, you know what? Let me call my vendor. that I get this, maybe he'll give me a concession on it. Let me see, give me 1 second, okay? Just give them a break, man. Let them chill for a second and then come back like a minute later, 2 minutes later. Hey, went through every single thing. I promise, if it was as simple as doing that for you, I promise you I would do it, right? Hey, but this is the absolute best deal. And then you move forward. And now they're like, okay, I gave it everything I had. I tried to get him to go down, and he even went and tried to get it and he couldn't. So, okay, I've got my best deal. They've got to internalize it. They're the one, like, to explain the best deal to me. It's not a price. It's not a certain product. It's whenever they feel like they've won. They feel like they're in the best position possible. It's a feeling. So I've got to make sure that I'm monitoring those feelings at all times. There's so much that's going into a sales process the whole way. But if you get really good and you master it and you just really understand human communication and behavior, that's where the biggest deal comes from. And you understand like all the problems that your product or service solves, and you can start digging for your client to give you the information on which one of what problems they have that fit your solution, right? Like just because you can do 100 things with your product doesn't mean they care about 100 things. They might care about 2 or 3 that might change everything. And if you're B2B, you might change everything for the business, you know? So don't just assume, hey, it's all about the profit. It might just be like about time. You know, they might be willing to sacrifice some profit to make things streamline and be easier for their clients because, you know, there's just so much that goes into it. So again, never assume anything. 86% of people are flexible. Okay. Don't make statements, ask questions. Okay. And let me go through a few different things. There's a phone process and there's a there's an in-person process. So for me, I don't really like to sell cars over the phone, but if they're too far away, then I'll work a deal over the phone. But if they're like an hour, or less, and I want them to come into the store because now I can really like help them out a lot more. There's a lot of people you can buy a car from or whatever your product or service is, and I would say that I can take care of a client at the highest level. I care on so many different factors because I've been on the ugliest end of buying. I mean, our family grew up where we didn't go to dealerships or anything like that. So I understand and I have that empathy and just the at-bats that I've had. I just really feel for people and I take care of enough, like Zig Ziglar says, you take care of enough people, they'll take care of you. So that's how I roll. But a lot of salespeople are not like that. They're going to be product pushers and you're going to get in a bad deal. I had a family member buy a car at 96 months, full MSRP, where they were going to pay $82,000 over the term of the 96 months on a truck with interest and everything on a truck that had a $47,000 MSRP. And, you know, other people don't care. So I was able to help get them out of that situation. But, you know, bottom line is, you know, change your process. So if your sales process over the phone is, hey, I want to go to an appointment, then that's your sales process and you just stop at the appointment. Don't start closing on the product and then get them to come inside. But if, you know, come in person, meet with you, or you go to them. But if you're a one-call close and you're just selling over the phone, then, you know, your sales process is all the way through. Okay. So just pay attention to that. Don't oversell on the phone. Deal fatigue, we've already talked about that. Sometimes you just need to take a deal too. Like, you know, sometimes our egos get in the way. Let's say that $30,000 guy. If my manager's like, no, $30,500 and we got a deal, right? If that's an ego-driven deal, then you're costing yourself so many things. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if I'm going to squeeze another 500 just so I win. I can't let that customer win. Yeah, but at the end of the month or end of the year, whenever your revenue like changes and whenever all that matters, are you going to wish you had that moment back to go just give them the 500 to move on? Or is it, man, this is it. This is it. I ain't got nothing else to give this guy. If the customer had asked for $30,500, then we would do that deal. But if he asked for $30,499, I can't, right? So there's a difference. So don't let your ego get in the way and cost you deals because you'll never get those back and you'll wish you did every single time. You never win. And, you know, again, everybody's a buyer until they prove that they're not. And like I said a second ago, like if somebody's on if it's a fixed income thing and they just do not qualify for my product, I'm not going to push it on them. If they're just going to be a client from hell, I don't want them. I don't need them. They can move on. You know, I'm good. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Not everybody has to buy from you, but everybody can and will if you do your job right. As long as they're right. You know, I don't want to I don't want to get in your way. So just treat everybody like a buyer. You're going to get more buyers than not, right? Billie Jean, I was at one of the $1 Million Masterminds back in 2023, or it might've been 2022, but Billie Jean was there. And one of his things, he was like, hey, you want to sell more products? You want to sell more stuff? Ask more people to buy, period. How simple. right? You want to sell more stuff, ask more people to buy. Shake more hands. Like Brad Lee says, the more hands you shake, the more money you make. Period. Don't get too in your head. Just do the basics a lot. Alex Hormozi, I'm all over the place with knowledge. I want it every single day, right? Get obsessed with this. So Alex Hormozi says, do the basics a lot, right? Ask people to buy more often. So you'll find more customers than you'll find that don't qualify, but don't constantly, oh, nope, that person's not my customer, not my customer, not my customer. You're just going to train yourself to be right. You know, that's subconscious. Is below awareness, and it only knows what you tell it. So if you're constantly telling them, hey, oh, if this person is this, they're just not my customer. If that's true, cool. But if it's just you making a general assumption, then you're screwing yourself. So don't go straight to the close just because you sound like you have a way in. Like I've already said, this whole thing has been about build the gap, stay in the saddle, and make sure that you've got all the information. Make sure that your sales process gets enough data on the client. You know exactly what they've got, if they've ever been through it before, if they've ever shopped you before, what they want to get next, why they want it, and why they want to buy it from you. If you get all that information, if your sales process builds up to that, then you're in good shape. But just stay in the saddle. Don't just go for the close as fast as possible. Now just on the closing and objections, I've kind of saved this for the end here. But whenever it comes to closing on objections and stuff, if they give you an objection, shelve it. If they're like, yeah, I want it, everything's good, I don't have the money for it, shelve that objection. So put it on the shelf. Hey, okay, well, money aside, right? So other than money, right? There's a couple of different ways you can say it. Other than money, other than the price, is there any other reason why you wouldn't want to move forward? And let them talk. Find more objections, because if they say money, but the truth is they don't trust you, but you don't know that until you ask more questions. You can say, yeah, no money. They're like, yeah, well, also we're still, you find out they're in a contract that they can't break and they've got 7 more months on this contract, but they never told you about it. And maybe they never told you because you never asked them questions about what they have now. Again, it goes back to the sales process. But at the very end, let's say you've missed it on the sales process for whatever reason. They're like, yeah, money doesn't work. And then you're like, hey, other than money, is there any other reason? Yeah, just now's not the right time. And then they're like, oh, what do you mean by the right time? Now we kind of dig deeper into it. Well, we're on a contract right now, and that contract expires in 6 months, and then that it's for the same thing you're doing. We don't want to pay twice for it. So now it's not really the money; it's about the other contract. And now you overcome. Well, hey, if that was the right thing for you, then you wouldn't even be talking to me. You'd be working. So blah blah blah. So if you think it's going to cost you too much money to keep that contract, how much is it going to cost you not to have my product, right? So you're going to have, so then you go into that objection handling with them. So just pay attention, shelve the objection, get all the objections out before you try to move forward on a close. But also don't be like, hey, is there any objections before we move forward? We don't do that. It's just whenever you get one, find all of them. Now it's time to fill your bucket with objections, if they have multiple. Closing here at the very end, without a sales process that you can follow every single time, you're just guessing and making shit up on the fly. You can never scale that. Like I said, Alex Hormozi says it is simplicity scales, chaos fails. So a simple sales process that everybody can follow. Hey, we need to know this information on clients every single time. At the dealership, they call it a guest sheet. You have to fill out a guest sheet, but at the same time, you can have 10 salespeople fill out the same guest sheet, and then you don't get all the same information. That's why a real process has to come into play. You want to get good at closing deals, get really good at the initial sales process with the client whenever you first get them in the first place. That's where things are going to start to change for you in your business. If you're like, oh, well, hey, we had 200 people and only X amount bought. Well, the first thing I want to know is, okay, so where are you getting your leads? And then what is the process that your lead has to go through? That's really where you want to dive in. You don't want to just say, hey, we need more leads. Well, if your process sucks, then now you're just going to be wasting marketing dollars. So there's just so much that sales process solves. And hey, you're getting a lot of negative reviews. Well, what's the process like to even buy your product? And then you can do the fulfillment process. It's the same thing. How's the fulfillment process for you and your client? So just really dive into these things as an individual, as a business. There's so much that goes into this, that needs to be worked on. Just fix your sales process. Make sure you ask questions. Don't make a ton of statements. Make sure the clients are involved the whole time. Make sure that you don't assume, right? And make sure that you're doing the same thing with every single client. And now, let's say you're doing the same thing with every single client and you're still not getting great results. Okay, well, what you're doing, don't keep doing something that doesn't work. fix it, seek knowledge, reach out to Ryan and the team. I mean, read and listen to Sell Your Ass Off. It's a badass book. Got great information, and you're going to learn a lot. Like, that is great for sales and closing. I mean, there's so much in there for you to read there. Search YouTube, just go on YouTube, just actually shop yourself. Ask your customers, hey, what part of this did you hate? The people that didn't buy, go ask them. They'll tell you what the problems were, and then get really good at asking them questions. So just seek the knowledge and then implement, right? Just knowing now what? Now you know the proper sales process, now what? This is where you start to become great. Again, I'm happy to help in any way as well. You can, again, my name is Tyler, and my cell phone number is 469-765-4883. You can call me, text me. I'm on Facebook. I'm here in Apex, so whatever you need, I'm happy to help. But that's all I got for you now. Hope this helps, and we can talk about specifics for you and your business, or specific objections that you may get. Thanks. That's all I got, brother.
Awesome, bro. Great stuff, man. Really, really good stuff. You covered a lot of a lot of ground with Ziegler, with everyone else in there. So
I did, man.
That was definitely good. No, but it was good stuff. It was definitely still, concentrated effort, as far as a direction and stuff. So
cool.
Really, really solid stuff. So
appreciate it.
Well, yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll make sure I get the recording, and I'll make sure that I let you know whenever I put it up. I've got some more recordings happening this week.
Okay.
Let you know.
Okay, that'll work. Is there any way I could get a copy of the recording as well, or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make sure or actually in the DM part, just give me your email address.
Okay. Do that.
And I'll go ahead and get it.
I can do that right now.
Awesome.
Sorry, it went long too.
Oh,
Just
no,
had to
you're
get the
good.
data out
You're
there.
good. Yeah, we've had some individuals go a little longer, some individuals not go as long. So, So yeah, it works out. TD Preston 59. Okay, awesome, bro.
Cool,
buddy. Thank you, man.
All right, man. Take care.
You too. Bye.
There you go. There's the perfect sales process. That's just teaching. That's just in general. We can go in depth, of course, with you specifically, but this is just how I roll. This is how I roll. This is what I believe in. So if you need help with your sales process or your team or anything like that, reach out to me. You got my number, 469-765-4883. Leave a comment below. I'll reach out to you, but share this with somebody you think it might help as far as like how the sales process works. Share this with a business or an individual that's struggling or that just wants to get better, period. Even if you're crushing it, is there another level? Okay? This is just a piece of what it takes to be great. So thanks for watching, and share this and like it and all that good stuff. Appreciate you.